Hello everyone, welcome to Off the Cuff, where the headlines come to life. Today we have as our guest Steve Nazoyan, and he is the investment advisor representative, an independent, but with Michigan Mutual Companies as well, correct?
Right, Michigan Financial Companies.
Michigan
right.
Financial Companies. Welcome, Steve, to Off the Cuff.
Thank you.
We have some real serious stuff to discuss today. Credit card fraud is something that so many people face as a challenge every single day.
Right.
Myself, I've been a victim. My daughter has been a victim, and it is really becoming very difficult to protect yourself from those things because you use your credit card for everything. I don't
Right.
think people really carry cash. I don't carry cash anymore. I use my credit card and especially my debit card too. So those things are really challenging to make sure that you're safe with. So, and that is something that you are an expert on, and you're going to share some information with us so we can stay safe, and so our audience can have some tips as
Absolutely.
to how to use the credit card. So what do? You go to a restaurant, a gas station, and you give them your credit card. How safe are you?
I mean, you're fairly safe, but at the same time, you're never fully safe.
Right.
Because the technology can always be, there's different ways to take care of things. But I mean, identity theft typically happens more so not from the credit card world, in all honesty. It's typically someone stealing your own information, using it for fraud, for personal gain. Sure. You do see it a lot in public places. So some of the important things you can do in public places, obviously, is be really cautious when using your credit card. One of the most common ones where people steal that information is the coffee shop. I won't name, people hang out at the coffee shop.
Absolutely.
They pop open their laptop, they got their phone out, and they're buying things or purchasing things because that's how convenient life is today.
But it's not just getting on the internet at a coffee shop. It's getting on the internet and actually using your credit card to purchase something. So
right.
It's not like they can get information
hopping on, and more importantly, not even just hopping on the internet, but hopping on, what do we do when we're in the coffee shops or in restaurants? We hop on and use the Wi-Fi.
Right.
The
Absolutely.
unprotected, unsecure Wi-Fi. So since you're using their free internet, anyone else can be there. And so that's where hackers will oftentimes hang out to draw that information.
So if you have your information on your computer, let's say you bought something or you have your information stored and you go on to this Wi-Fi, so now you are vulnerable to anyone that's in there to
Absolutely.
get the information that
because
you have stored in your computer?
Potentially. That's what I always say, be careful, especially when you talk, in those scenarios. They can actually just steal the information because they may, a lot of times they'll set up fake Wi-Fi. So you ever notice if you go to a coffee shop and you'll notice, I'll pick on Starbucks for a second, use them as an example, and there might be the Starbucks Wi-Fi. There might just be also open Wi-Fi. If Starbucks hasn't actually named their Wi-Fi, it might be the open Wi-Fi, but you pick Starbucks Wi-Fi because
Right.
that makes so much more sense.
Right.
That might literally be someone just sitting around the corner in the Starbucks who set up the Wi-Fi, and so you're in there on their
Lord.
system.
Okay.
And that's what people don't really understand. They go,
Right.
well, it just seems like that's the right one. It might not be, because you can name the Wi-Fi. I could go right now into any place out there and name something, ABC Wi-Fi, and hope that someone will go in there and start hanging out and purchasing things. I can track every single thing they do while they're there. And then, or I could send them emails to gather more information. So I always say, be really careful when you're opening your emails. I mean, there's just so much insecure information. Be really careful clicking on links. If you don't recognize it, and especially in today's world where people send you those quick links with, the dancing cat or the cat playing the piano,
Right.
or all the stuff that people jokingly waste their time looking at, that's where the fraud comes in a ton. Because you're thinking, oh, I got an email from someone, I'll open it. Well, if you don't recognize who it's from, you don't recognize the link, how many of your friends literally will just send you a link and nothing else?
Right.
That's
I delete
rare.
all of those.
But most people don't. So those are the mistakes that people make all the time.
What about opening the email but not clicking on the link? Like sometimes a friend will send me an email, so I don't know what it is. I'll open it, but I'll just see a link and then I'll trash it.
You should be okay.
Okay.
But I mean, I can't guarantee that you're not.
You need to guarantee
right.
it.
And that's why you look at systems like Outlook and some of their email systems where you can look at the email and but you're not opening the email. And you can see what it is. That's why businesses a lot of times will use those, because then you're not actually opening the email and downloading anything
So
automatically.
you have a view of
Right.
what's in there. Okay. But it is a really scary thing to think that you are so vulnerable, and everything is electronic these days, especially on the internet. And I still have a phobia of purchasing anything on the internet. I really don't like to. And even donations, I pledged a donation and they wanted me to do it on the internet, and I haven't done it yet, only because I really don't want to put my information in there. So am I justified in feeling that way? Or, I mean, even if I did it out of my
I would
home,
say you're justified in feeling that way, but the percentage of those transactions that are captured and stolen are slim. But as you said, once you're a victim, it's very difficult, especially if they truly grab your information. It is very, very difficult to ever clean it up.
Right.
Because then they just kind of spread it out, they sell it, they transfer it, they use it themselves. And I mean, I've got clients who have been identity theft victims, and they're basically doomed for quite a while. And that's why you got to make sure you're taking the proper steps after you become a victim to make sure you at least mitigate the damage.
Okay, so what do you do so you do not become a victim? What are the steps that you do not to become a victim?
No such way to probably fully protect yourself from not becoming a victim other than never using a credit card, never using a debit, so things that
That's
are
not
unrealistic.
possible,
Right.
right.
So things that you can do to make sure that you protect yourself. So in public, just be cautious of those open Wi-Fis. Don't carry your social security card around. So if someone were to steal your wallet, I mean, they can't go open a credit card in your name. Make sure you put a password on your laptop. Like we said earlier, be careful with those Wi-Fi networks. I mean, you just want to make sure you're not doing anything where you're being irresponsible and basically asking, hey, come steal my information because I'm making it easy for you. But even they can even take care of your, identity theft can occur from your home. I mean, so they always say, make sure you dispose of all your unneeded documents containing personal information, and do it properly. You don't throw them in the garbage because you want to shred them. Properly store documents and personal information. Destroy hard drives and old computers. Don't just put them out front in the garbage and hope they disappear. People who are smart hackers can certainly open all that stuff. Before you share information like you mentioned, just ask how it's being properly safeguarded. So on that system where you're going to make that donation, what encrypted features do they have to protect your credit card? And then just again, destroy even labels of prescription bottles. Just be cautious of census workers coming to your home because they might not be who they say they are. All little things, because as much as everyone always thinks of the credit card, it's all kinds of other things that really cause the greater damage.
So what about when you go on those sites and it'll say secured by, and it'll show like a security.
Right.
How secure are those?
Obviously more secure than one that doesn't have it, but again, everything's relative to within reach. I mean, the number one thing, as you mentioned, that you and your daughter are both at, watch your bank account for unusual activity.
See, I don't do that.
Right. I mean, how many of us haven't balanced a checkbook? Maybe ever. I can imagine there are people who haven't done it ever. Maybe you need to do that. It's your money. You need to know what's going on with it.
Right.
Use direct deposit when possible, so you're not dealing with actually the physical checks. Review your credit report. One of the things you can do is every year you can get a credit report at annualcreditreport.com, and then you can obviously keep an eye. Hey, are these things, like you mentioned, the credit card fraud? What if someone's opening credit cards in your name? Well, you can check that and be made aware of it. Make your social media profiles private. Everyone's now out there with Snapchat, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it, it's out there, Twitter, and you're putting yourself out there, and that's where simple things, they're stealing the information, and they're able to, think about it, if you tell them where you are on vacation, it's easier to order things from those cities, and the credit card companies won't necessarily red flag it. Because if you've ever been on vacation and used your credit card for the very first time, what typically happens? Especially if it's a large purchase, you actually get flagged. I mean, personally, every time I go to Vegas and I use my credit card, the very first purchase I make, no matter what it is, the card's denied. And I have to pick up the phone, call the 800 number, and verify, yes, I'm actually in Las Vegas. And then they, of course, open up the card from then on. But they're checking for it.
To me before. Absolutely. But
which is great security features, exactly. But once now I've opened it and I post on social media that I'm there, if anyone had already hacked my data, by all means, start spending money in Vegas. Yeah, while I'm there, my credit card company's not going to be denying charges because, he told us he's there.
Wow.
So that makes perfect sense.
Right.
Again, but just don't use public computers. And a lot of times when you use a public computer, it'll say, "Do you want me to memorize your password? Do you want me to memorize your email?" Obviously, don't use those things, and only download software from sites that you trust. A lot of these freebies and tack-ons, those are all gimmicks to get you to enter in more information.
That is really scary. I mean, the world is so open, and there's absolutely no privacy anymore. But when you look at what's the difference if you're using a debit card or a credit card? Well, obviously, it's your actual money that goes out.
I'm going to
How do you
recommend using the
protect-
credit card.
Never use the debit card.
I'm not going to say never use a debit card, but from what I've seen from personal experience, use a debit card in areas where you trust it more. Because if they steal your debit card information and they raid your account, they have taken all of your money. Yes, you file the reports and you get your money back, but that takes time, and well, you have no money then. If it was your savings account and they bled it out, versus if they put it on your credit card, it'll be on your credit. It might damage your score short term significantly, but just don't pay the bill, dispute it, prove that it was fraud. Things will get worked out.
Do they usually raise your credit score to where it needs to be after that's worked out, or
Not
is
really.
it always?
No,
always,
things will come off and your credit score will bounce back up, but not from what I've seen. It doesn't bounce back up to where it was
that's
prior to the
unfortunate,
incident, because
yeah.
there's all kinds of things that have happened, and in the process of solving those things, you're not paying your bills because they're not your bills.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
That $3,000 trip to Hawaii, I'm not going to pay for when it shows up on my credit card bill if I didn't go to Hawaii.
Right. Absolutely. Well, the concept of open door policy for your private information. We live in a totally different world, and the shopping trend of internet shopping has increased tremendously. A lot of stores have even closed because they've gone to internet, and sometimes you can't even purchase things at a store because they say you can only purchase it on the internet.
Right.
So what are we looking at in regards to people who go on to like the Sears, the website?
Those sites are typically
JCPenney's,
fairly
those kind-
secure.
Okay.
So again, going on to those company sites, you're probably not going to get hacked. At the same time, we hear every couple months, Target was
Right,
hacked, so-and-so was
exactly.
hacked, and all their information was stolen.
Exactly.
Well, in that scenario, whether you bought it at the store or you bought it online,
It's the same thing.
it's basically the same thing. They hacked their system and their databases. But where your fear might be is you click a link to Sears' site or to something site, like you said, it's not their site. Looks like it, seems like it, but it's not their site, and now you place purchases. You're typing in all your information.
What kind of, I don't know if this is a question you can answer, but what kind of responsibility does Sears have to have a link that is not directly related to them going to some other company on their website?
I'm saying on their website they'd be fully responsible. But I'm saying you type into Google real quick, whatever you're looking to purchase, and you see the first thing that pops up is some company, Sears, Target, whoever it may be, and you click it.
Yeah.
That's not Sears' responsibility or Target's responsibility if it turns out that wasn't their website.
Oh, so it's an incognito kind of link. It's
Right.
not actually their
No, if you're
link.
actually on their
Okay.
site and something
I get it.
happens,
I get it.
they'll
Okay. They're
one would
responsible
believe.
for it.
I don't know exactly how responsible they completely are, but you're a lot more protected in that respect than you would be if you just went to a site, started, and it looks good.
Okay, so just to give us a rundown, when you are hacked, what is the first thing that you need to do? When you know that something's going on, you cancel your credit cards, what do you do?
Right.
What's
So one of
what's
the first things you should
process?
do is you should place a fraud alert. Okay. So you actually contact one of the 3 credit reporting agencies and let them know that you're a victim of identity theft. They're required to contact the other 2.
Oh,
I think
okay.
we're going to provide the number for everyone watching
Yes,
so that they
we'll
can
put it
see
on
all
the-
3 of them, and just make sure that you ask any companies to put fraud alerts on your account. So now all of a sudden things don't expand from there. So now you've documented it, so they are aware of the fact that going forward you have to keep careful. Order your free credit report right away. Verify what else has been on there. You want to contact.
Really quick, when there's sort of a myth maybe that if you check on your credit report and your free credit report, your credit goes down. Now that's a
you
myth,
checking
right?
you checking your free credit report does not reduce your credit score.
Right.
What reduces your credit score, which is where that myth came from, is
Applying for something.
exactly when vendors are, because you're giving them permission to inquire about your credit, and all those inquiries about your credit is basically notification to the credit agencies that you're looking to do something.
Do something.
And so there seems to be a lot of questions around debt, but it's such a marginal amount. It doesn't really damage your score. I mean, but yes, that's where but you checking your credit yourself.
As
But yeah,
many times as you want.
But you said on that side, but you get the annual credit score. But if you do it every single year forever, it's not going to knock your score down. But if you have a friend who works in the mortgage industry or something, and you call them every month and ask them to run your full credit report,
Okay.
you're asking a bank or a mortgage company to do an inquiry.
Right.
It's going to have a marginal negative effect on your credit score.
Okay.
But
okay.
Again, I'm going to say negligible.
Right.
But it'll be there.
But it'll be there. Okay.
Right. But I mean, so you want to call the credit agencies, explain that you've placed a fraud alert, order free copies of your credit report, and ask each company to show the last 4 digits of your social security number on your report so you can verify everything and make sure everything looks clean and proper in that respect. And you also want to make sure that you create an identity theft report, which means submitting to the FTC details of all the things that you know have been going on so far, and actually they'll create an identity theft affidavit for you.
Okay.
To make it easier for you to actually go to organizations and stop them. You also want to file a police report. So you'll take that identity theft affidavit you received, you take it to the police department, you'll make a formal complaint, formal report.
That you live in.
The city that you live in, you got
Okay.
it. And with all those together, you're able to create a more of a bigger, full report and identity theft control piece to help you protect yourself going forward.
Okay. Well, those are some chronological steps that everyone needs to really be aware of, and we'll put those up on the screen along with the phone number as well. Now, there's the 3-digit number on your credit card. Now, some people ask for it and some people don't. So, how significant is that? And if they have it,
Well, if they have it, that's the extra piece for them from the theft standpoint. That's obviously obvious that they're going to be able to have even more charges made against you. But
how important is that? Because some people ask for it and some people don't. Now, are they required to ask for that 3-digit number?
Obviously not. You're saying they don't. But most reputable companies, in my experience, have asked for it.
Okay. All right. Well, I know that even sometimes online it scares me because they ask for that 3-digit number, and it's like, well, if I put it online, it's out there.
It's online, right.
And that's all the information that you need to actually make a purchase. So it's a very, very, very fine line. And we talked about this a little bit before we went on camera. When you have something in your wallet, when you have your credit cards in your wallet, now there's devices that it can actually read the magnetic strip through your clothing or through your wallet. So you had mentioned wrapping it in aluminum.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the actual expert
sure
recommendations are put a metal fake credit card in front of your credit card, or actually wrap your cards in aluminum foil. But like as I joked with you, sure, those are actually the recommended things to do, but I don't see any of us wrapping our cards in aluminum foil anytime soon.
So you just have to sort of take your chances.
Yeah.
Is there a best place to put it? More like in the front, or because I know guys put them, men put them in the back.
Your true professional thief is going to figure it out, plain and simple. So the best thing you can do is not make it easy on them. Mm-hmm. And that's really what it all comes down to.
Wrap it up in
is
aluminum foil.
Well, no, I'm not going to do that necessarily.
Can we do plastic wrap?
Right, exactly. But just don't make it easy. Don't go. We talked about the big ones up front. Don't go to places and use their free Wi-Fi and then purchase things. If you go, or more importantly, go back to what I said. You go to Starbucks. Ask Starbucks what their Wi-Fi is called.
Right.
So you're actually on their Wi-Fi. So even if you're doing simple things like like you're streamlining a TV show, or you're watching sports, or doing whatever it may be you're actually on their Wi-Fi. Yes, you can still be hacked, but you're not on somebody else's Wi-Fi who can potentially remote access into your computer and do a whole lot of other things. So just be smart. They're going to take advantage of the people who make the irresponsible moves. Yes, could someone walk in here with one of those high-tech card readers and figure out how to read yours on my card? Probably. Is there anything I can do to really stop that? Not really, because I'm even assuming they'll figure out a way to get around the aluminum foil concept. So how foolish are you going to feel with 5 credit cards wrapped in aluminum foil and they still figure out how to hack your stuff? There's realistic solutions, and then there are things where it's just not going to happen. I try not to buy a lot of things online unless it's from absolutely trusted sources. I still use cash. I'm actually kind of, like I said, but I made fun of it sometimes. But it makes me laugh, though, is I'm asked to borrow. People ask to borrow money from me. I'm asked to lend out money all the time. Can I borrow $10? Can I borrow $20? Well, if cash is irrelevant, why do you all keep coming to me for money?
It's a good point. Definitely a good point. The ATM machines. That was something else. What people used to do was, look over the shoulders to get the
Right, shoulder surfing.
The password. And when somebody put the ATM card into the machine, they would be able to come with some magnetic strip, put it in there, get the information, and
They've secured that a little better,
was
but
just
again,
gonna
go
ask
back
you
to
that.
the same concept. When you go to use the ATM, if someone's standing right over your shoulder, it's not rude to turn around and say, you know what, could you give me a little room?
right.
I mean, it's your private information. You should be able, when I use the ATM, no, anyone that's within 3 feet of me, I'm going to literally stop what I'm doing and ask them to back up. I mean, that's just common respect for one another. So you're not seeing, and you're seeing more and more of the ATMs are in something or they're
Right.
videotape. I mean, so there's more protection. But again, if some genius comes up with the newest piece of information that can do that, you can't stop it.
Right. But what about if someone is at the ATM machine, there's no one there, they put their, card into the ATM machine, someone comes up and puts a card that reads that information.
Should not be able to do that currently.
Okay. Well, they
Again,
were.
I can't say the words guarantee.
Right.
But the systems, but the banks have all and the machines have all been updated to where they are better at protecting from that. But again,
Right.
like I said, somebody else can make a bet. I mean, but one of the most important things is when you're done with your ATM transaction, you'll see people, they walk away, and their stuff's still on the screen. I mean, as funny as that may sound, that happens all the time. So stand there for 10 more seconds, have it say thank you and goodbye, and wait for the main screen to come back up.
Right.
Because then you know
Absolutely. No one
you're
can
done.
get in there.
Right.
Right. And thank you.
If some
Done.
really intelligent person figures out how to hack your screen from that afterwards,
You're done.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, again, there's nothing that can stop someone from doing that, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, they hacked Hillary's emails, right? So I mean,
That's another show.
right? I mean, she's supposed to. That's Secretary of the State. I mean, my
Secretary of
goodness, she's what third in command in essence, and her emails were hacked. So
Right.
if that can be done,
Anything can be.
anything can be
on
done.
State level. Absolutely. We just all need to be very careful and very, very vigilant, and especially with debit cards, But the other hat that you use also is investment advisor.
Right.
And that is something that a lot of people are very interested in, especially this day and age. When you're looking at retirement, when you're looking at what kind of investments are best, some people sort of live their life, they find themselves in their late 50s, 60s, and say, wait a minute, I haven't really planned for my retirement. And a lot of people are, business owners really don't have, the pension and the things that someone who's had a career has. What would be your advice, and what would someone like that hear from you if they came and said, help, what's going on, what do I do now?
Step number one: it's never too late.
Okay, that's a good
I
that's
mean,
a good thing to hear.
You can always catch up, and there's even provisions inside of retirement plans to allow you to catch up. But I mean, the bottom line is you always want to do something. I mean, the less if you just go, well, I'm already 50, I haven't done anything, I guess I can't do it. Then you're going to be 60 and staring, okay, I guess I'll have Social Security and that's it. No, start saving right away. You mentioned business owners. Business owners don't, they're the person who's responsible for setting
Right.
up their pension, their retirement plan, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
I mean, their advisors like myself are happy to help them set up those plans so that they can put money away pre-tax. They can do, individual practitioners can do solo 401ks. Smaller companies can do simple IRAs. I mean, you can do different retirement plans that allow you to save money as an entrepreneur. So no, never too late. Definitely should be taking advantage of it and putting money away.
So do you look at something more aggressive at that age, or do you still go with the, with the safer kind of
So
investment?
you're right. So at that point in time, if you're 50, you're behind the 8 ball. I'm gonna go back to it's all based on your game plan. So it's important to sit down with a professional and actually put it down on paper when you're trying to retire, what you're trying to accomplish at retirement. And what I mean by that is obviously how much money it's gonna take for you to actually achieve what you want to do. And then we have to figure out, well, how much cash flow do you have to put towards that?
Right.
If you've got the cash flow, I mean, I've had clients who have done nothing, and then they come in, or individuals who came in, saw me, they had done nothing, and then we go over everything, and I'm like, well, you're gonna have to save like 35% of your income, assuming they're gonna say something to the fact of, well, wow, that's impossible, and they go, no, sure thing, and lo and behold, they can save that money and they retire on time. So it's all relative. I mean, so you said it.
Right.
If you can't save the money, well then, who says you're eligible to retire? I mean, I'm a little more blunt. I think it's funny, especially we're in the election season. Everyone's talking about protecting people in the retirement.
Sure.
we are all responsible for ourselves. So if you find yourself with little to no money later in life, but you've
You're gonna be
driven
working
expensive
longer.
cars, had the constant new cell phones and all this stuff, I don't know if it's someone else's responsibility to bail you out. So it's imperative each person takes that responsibility. If your employer doesn't offer something, that's why they have the IRA, which is individual retirement account. You can do that. You don't need an employer. All you need is earned income. So I mean, I think it's important you sit down with a professional, have them help you go through a situation, just like with a personal trainer. Financial advisors have that dual role. Step one is really helping you figure out what you need to do, because everyone knows how to go to the gym and, let's say, run on a treadmill, right? But you wonder why it's been 3 years and you still look the same or feel the same, because you're not doing the right things.
Right.
So it's the same thing when it comes to your finances. Make sure you have the right game plan together and you have the right steps to go forward, and you'll be able to figure it out. But no, there's no magic pill I can say, oh, you're 50, you've never saved a dime, and you're living paycheck to paycheck. Here, sign here and I'll make you rich in 10 years. That's not happening. You know?
Yeah, not necessarily. But what would be the best investment to make at that point? I mean, would it be in real estate? Would it be in stocks? Would it be in bonds? We only got a couple more minutes.
That close to retirement, I would probably think you'd want to stick with stocks and bonds. More liquid asset. I mean, real estate's great. At the same time,
oh yeah,
you can see significant losses if things go wrong.
2008.
Yeah, you said 2008, 9 people were destroyed.
Yes.
You're using a lot of leverage in real estate because you're talking about buying individual properties. You got a lot of risk in there, in my opinion. People don't think about it that way, but you really do.
Right.
So from my point of view, you're going to stick to your mutual funds, your stocks, your bonds, things that are more liquid, but you build a diverse portfolio. So you're not hammered into one company or one sector, and if that goes sideways, you lose everything.
So diversification is really important.
Diversification is always key. It's been key since the beginning of
Day
investing.
one.
It will always remain it. Do you get really, really rich quickly with diversification? No. But do you get rich over time? Absolutely. I mean, you keep putting money away. You dollar cost average, you get time value of money, and things work out in your favor. They really do. And anyone who's successfully retired now probably can attest to that fact.
No,
So it's important just do the right things. Remember, the number one saying out there for advisors is pay yourself first. Before we go do all the fun things, make sure you put money aside for yourself, because no one else is going to.
Absolutely, absolutely. Really quick, we've only got just a couple of seconds. What would be your advice to anyone out there that really that wants to invest and secure their retirement? Even at an earlier age, somebody just starting out. What would the best advice for
Obviously,
you be to him? Stocks, bonds.
I would say start with making sure you do a little bit of your own homework. I mean, that's one of the great things. We talk about how much you can lose all your stuff on the internet, but you can go on the internet and you can do research and learn things. That's always a positive thing. Go buy a book. Those things that you turn pages. Yeah.
Investments for dummies, right?
Well, as funny as that may sound, I mean, that's great. That's going to teach, because sad as it may be, that literally might be, monumentally new news for people reading something as simple as that. But start there. But then, look into getting a professional advisor, someone who can lead you down the right path and help you get to where you're trying to go. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, that you said, start being responsible, take care of yourself, work with a team, and things will work out.
So it's thinking of the future and making sure that you're secure on credit cards, where you have money to actually use credit cards, and also for your retirement. So it's a longer discussion than this, but I hope you'll come back and maybe follow up on this discussion
Absolutely.
as well. But thank you so much, Steve
My pleasure.
Nazoyan, one of the best investment advisors I know. Thank you all so much for joining us on Off the Cup. I hope you'll stay safe out there, and all those coffee house users, please be careful, and be careful with those credit card purchases as well. I know I learned a lot today. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.